Guys, welcome back. We are back in the Psalms of Ascent this morning, and a little bit different location. We're in the church lobby this morning. You can come check out our new information table when you get back here. Man, I'm praying that comes soon, and I believe it will be coming soon. In the meantime, though, I believe that this is an opportunity, this quiet space right now where we're in, where it's not what we're used to, it's not what we're comfortable with, and it's not what we think it will be. It's not what we expect to see coming forward. But God has placed us in this sort of in-between area where we are, I think, what God is calling us to is not to become impatient, not to become hard or become calloused to the things of how other people are acting towards us. It's definitely a lesson in empathy and patience. But I think what God is asking for us to do right now is to seek after his heart. God, what does the future hold for us? He's permitting us the opportunity to dream. And not just to dream about whatever might become the human reality, but to dream dreams that God himself would want us to dream. To pray prayers that God longs to hear his people pray. And I think that's why the Psalms of Ascent are so beautiful for us this morning, is that these are prayers for an exiled people to come to in prayer. That these songs would be on our lips, that we would be a joy-filled people, expectant for what God has done and grateful for that and looking forward to what he will be doing in the future. For now, as we dwell in this space together, man, my prayer is that our hearts would just continually be tuned to the heart of God. So we're in Psalm 126 this morning, so what I want you to do, as we always do, pause the video right here, and I want you to read on your own Psalm 126. Read it 2-3 times, pray, ask the Spirit to lead, ask God to show you what he wants to show you this morning. Read it one more time, and then come back and we will dive deeper into Psalm 126 together. Psalm 126 begins like this. He says, when Yahweh restored the fortunes of Zion, we were like those who dream. It's this idea that what they are longing for is that they remember this time when their God rescued them from their own mistaken ways. That idea of restoration is like, it's literally, it says, when Yahweh turned our turning. So in other words, we were going on this path towards blessing and journey and joy with God. This place where we were flourishing with him and growing and being exactly where he wanted us to be. And yet, our eyes got distracted and driven away by other things. And so we turned from the path that God wanted us to go. And we went wayward somewhere else to fulfill our own needs, our own desires. And what we found was despair, frustration, discontent, knowing we are not where we're supposed to be. And what Yahweh did was he restored our fortunes. He turned us back from the direction we were going, and he reoriented us back on the path towards life and love and blessing with him. He restored the fortunes of the people of God. He brought back safety and security and peace and wholeness. And that brought us to a state of waking up from a dream and discovering it to be our reality. Have you ever had like an amazing dream where it's just like it was all of the things, the hardship of the world were just gone? It was just, you knew you were exactly the way that it was meant to be, an ideal state, an Eden-like harmony, with exactly as you were supposed to be. No more pain, no more suffering, no hardship. And then you wake up and you realize, man, my body still hurts. My marriage is still rough. My job still is awful. Our finances are still the worst. My friendships are still broken and messed up. I'm still lonely. I'm still frustrated. The psalmist says that there is, when God restores his people, it's like having that dream and you wake up and you realize it's done. God has done that work. Now, there's an amazing part for us to realize there is that when we're talking about this idea that's basically like living a dream. Have you ever heard that phrase, we're living the dream? Usually when we say that, we're talking about a situation where people have a reality they want for themselves. They want more pleasure, more purpose, more possessions, something else, more power for themselves, more influence and success. And so they go out and they go get it, and they make their dream happen for themselves. That's not what we're talking about here. The dream of humans, the dream of God dreams, in other words, are about coming back to a new creation. We're talking about a dream that is about like this dream where we long to return to be the people we were always meant to be. It's about you recovering the life that God always meant for you to have, that he designed for you to have. God designed you to have life from him and for him and through him and with him. And you receive life from him. You live because of him. The work that you do, the relations that you have are in relationship to him. Because God created you with the express intent of having a relationship with you. And so the dream that he longs for us to have is to return to the state where we know we are exactly where we were supposed to be, just as he made us, just the way he created us to be. Is that the kind of dreams that you have? Or are your dreams a different type of escape, a different type of reality that you are seeking to make happen? I want to tell you that you will struggle to experience joy and contentment and satisfaction. What God is asking for us to do, I think, in this current season is to realign our dreams with his. And in doing so, what we are doing as we allow for God to take hold of our hopes and our desires and our dreams is that what he will do is that he will begin the work, because it is he who does it, of realigning our path. As it had gone here and it became wayward, he will realign that, and we will discover a true joy. Now, what does it look like to experience joy? A joy that comes from God restoring our lives, returning us to a life with him. He says that our mouths will be filled with laughter, our tongues with shouts of joy. And the psalmist here, he's recounting an earlier season of their life where they had experienced this, and right now they're in a state where they don't yet experience that life. And you might be able to resonate with that right now in this season where we're struggling to find joy. You know, as you sit at home, alienated from your community and withdrawn from the world, that it is probably not where you're supposed to be. Now, church, I want to remind you that the Spirit is not bound to a physical location. You are probably exactly where you're supposed to be right now. But for us, it's not about necessarily our physical location. It's about our emotional state. It's about our spiritual state. Spiritually, are you where you're supposed to be with the Lord right now? Or has this season actually brought up and caused you to realize a reality that maybe you're not there? Maybe you've been living a different type of dream. Maybe a more human dream, maybe a more personal pursuit of satisfaction and security and happiness. And maybe what you've experienced is that is not necessarily the dream that God wants you to dream. I want you to be encouraged. You may be closer to joy than you ever realized before. But let's say that you're in that state right now, where you are far from the experiencing this joy. It's been a long season that you're waiting and anticipating and hoping for something more. This is a great reminder of what that joy is that we will experience again, that you will find, you will discover when you discover the restoration of God that he will have for you. He said, when we experienced restoration, we were like those who dreamed, and we were full of joy. Our mouths were filled with laughter, our tongues shouts of joy. And we said among the nations, Yahweh has done great things for us. So what is that joy all about? It's not just feelings of happiness. It's not pleasure sensors. It's not based on what you have or what you earn or what you are entitled to. In the Bible, it is a fundamental truth that joy is not something gained. It is something given. Yahweh has done great things for us. You are not the center of joy. You are not the origin of your happiness. Because when you are, you will struggle to keep it, and you will inevitably disappoint yourself. When you lose that self-centered joy where you are the object of your own happiness, then there will be all kinds of excuses that come up. The circumstances weren't right, or this person wasn't fair to me, or the system is rigged. But what if it's not that the joy that you desire, the self-centered joy is not happening because all the stars aren't perfectly aligned for you? What if the source of your despair and discontent is coming because your joy is not centered in the right person? Joy, the best definition that I can give you, is that joy is knowing that you are right where you are supposed to be. Have you ever thought about that? That your joy is knowing I am doing exactly what I'm supposed to do. I am in the place I'm supposed to be. I'm with the people I'm supposed to be. Me and God are in the right space, and I am doing what God designed me to do. I am the person that God designed me to be. I think often the source of our despair is tied really closely to our discontentment. We know that things aren't right. We know that it's not fair. We know it's not ideal. And we are just searching for a fix. Joy arrives when God brings it to us, when he picks us up and he puts us back where we belong. And we are content with him and at peace with him and enjoying our life with him. Now what's the result of joy that he shows down here? He says joy is three things. It's laughter, it's shouting, and it's testimony. So let's talk through those a little bit. Laughter. It is a lie that Christians cannot have fun. Christians ought to have more fun than anyone else in the whole world because they don't have anything to prove. They are carefree, unencumbered people who laugh and love and enjoy their lives. What are the things that keep you from laughing? It's because other people are going to think that what you think isn't funny. It's because you think that laughter is wrong for a Christian. Is it because you think that laughter people are going to make fun of you for any reason? It's not rooted in you. For Christians, we live for another, and God loves it when we as Christians enjoy the life that he has given to us. We are new creations. Our laughter should be infectious as part of the carefree state in which he has given us. Shouting. It's a lie that Christians cannot experience or display emotion. When God restores you, he brings you back. He puts you back in the place you're meant to be. He puts emotion back in its place as an expression of processing the world through him and his eyes. So when we are shouting, whether it's with frustration or joy or harp or pain, it's because we are experiencing the world through the life that God has given us. So what breaks God's heart ought to break our heart, and we cry with mourning and sadness. But what also would stir up passion and joy with him ought to stir up the same for you. Testimony. That's the third one, testimony. Joy comes not because of what you have done for you, not because of what an object of creation has you have gained from it or drawn from it or sucked the life out of. Joy comes because of what Jesus has already done for you. How God, not you, has done the work of restoration. So testimony here, they said among the nations, Yahweh has done great things. Testimony is bearing witness to a powerful work that has changed your life. It is the story of God seen from your eyes. It's not a theological treatise. It's not the Romans Road. We have all these weird ideas of what testimony is supposed to be, but it is very simply the story of God seen from your eyes. It is this transformative, humbling work of God, this shift of God who moves from the margin of your life to the center of your life. How he has rescued you, comforted you, inspired you, and filled you with grace and peace. When you talk about God, when you think about God, when you live a life as a Christian, as a believer, as a follower of Jesus, are you marked by laughter, shouting of joy, expression of emotion, testimony as to what God has done, not what you've done for God? It's a misnomer in a lot of testimonies I've heard in the past that testimony is about all of the things I have done on God's behalf. It is not that. That's still you as the center of the story. Where God is the center of your story. Is your life defined by that joy? Because that is a life that exhibits a restorative process and shows that God has brought you from afar. He has brought you back to where you belong. Now, at the end of the psalm, he's going to finish and ask Yahweh to restore our fortunes. He says, we are not where we are supposed to be right now. I know we were at one time, but we're not right now. Yahweh, would you again turning and reorient our lives back in the direction of God's favor and his blessing? And he says, would you return us like water courses in the Negev, like streams of water in the desert, like an oasis in a dry land. Those who would sow in tears will reap with shouts of joy. We are going to sow sadness and pain and suffering, and we are going to reap joy and blessings and restoration. We're going to carry a bag of seed, and we're going to come back with shouts of joy. Joy is something that you cannot bring about on your own. These are things that are discovered. These are things that are found. These are things that are encountered. Think about that idea of a farmer that's planting seeds. When you are a farmer and you plant, you have nothing to your name but seeds. They will not feed your family. Those seeds will not provide for your needs. They will not shelter you. They will not give you safety or security. They are simple, small, unhelpful seeds. And the only thing you can do with them is you can stick them in the ground and you can water them, you can tend the soil, and you can wait, and you have to trust that in time, in the right season, those seeds will take root and grow into plants and produce fruit that will feed your family, that will provide you shelter when you can sell the crops, that they will return to you and they will provide and offer you what you need. But at the end of the day, you don't grow the plant. You can't magically transform a seed into a plant. You can merely put it in the ground, water it, tend the soil, and be patient and pray that they will be transformed into something that you need. Think about that. The psalmist is asking us here to sow our seeds of suffering and hardship. The meager amounts of faith that we have right now, God is asking him to take those small seeds of faith and put them in the ground and plant them and tend the soil and then watch as he does the work of growing and providing what we need. I think when we ask God for our dreams to come true, we hope that we're just going to wake up one day and there's going to be plants sitting right next to us and we go, yeah, this is great. I've already got what I need. And instead what we find are seeds. These small, ineffectual, sometimes glimpses, pockets of faith, these small, tiny reserves. And God doesn't say, hold on to them. He says, plant them. Set them in the ground. Invest what you have, and God will grow it into something beautiful for you. It will be like water flowing in the desert. It will be like sowing suffering and reaping joy. Can we anticipate something like that? Can we trust that God is the one who will do that work for us? Or are we so hell-bent on making it work for ourselves? On being not just the author of our dreams, but the ones who are going to make our dreams a reality? Can we trust that we are not the ones who fulfill our dreams? We are merely those who wake from dreams and discover what God has done because we have trusted in him. A few questions this morning. How have you experienced God's joy in the past? How have you seen God fill your life with events? Where have you seen this state where you know you are exactly where God wants you to be? How have you experienced that? Has it brought laughter, shouts of joy, testimony? What do you think of when you think of having joy? Do you think of that, or is something else come to mind when you think about joy? Question number 2. In a difficult time, in a hard time, in that empty space where it's neither restoration of joy nor hope for a future joy, what is it that you actually are hoping for? We've talked a lot about this. It's gone around a lot in our culture right now, but this idea of a new normal, a return to normalcy. We can't assume that there is a return to normalcy. And I want to ask you this. I know what that's talking about, but I want to ask you this. Are you hoping when all of this settles down and when we come back here and we return to church, are you hoping for a return to normalcy? Your own, the comforts and the conveniences and what you're used to experiencing in the past. That life with God is going to get easier because you no longer have to depend on him so much. Because you no longer have a hardship that's going to keep tuning your eyes. I want to tell you, we don't want to return to an old normal. There is a new normal. And the new normal that we want is a life so utterly dependent on God, so utterly trusting in him, so much waiting on him to move before we move. Aligning our hearts and our attitudes and our thoughts with his, so that we become kingdom people, a new creation, a new society of his. There is a different kind of normal that we would like to see, that I think God has exposed to us in this season. So in a difficult, hard time, are you hoping to go back to earlier comforts and spaces? Or can you trust that our return to joy is going to look maybe whatever God wants it to look like? What kind of joy are you hoping to see? What kind of restoration are you hoping to get? It's helpful, church, for us to consider that, because when we ask for Yahweh to restore our fortunes, I need you to know that you may not have as much control over that you'd like over what those fortunes end up looking like. And question number 3, do you believe that God will restore your joy? And again, are you okay with the kind of joy that he will bring? Or do you seek to be the agent of your own restoration, the one who will return your own favor, who will make your own dreams come true? Church, I honestly believe that we are in a season where God took away our sheaves and he replaced them with seeds. And we are right now in a planting season where God is not asking us to go back to the old harvests, but he wants us to renew our faith with him, merely by trusting in him, by putting those seeds in the ground and watching what he will do. And man, when he does, I truly believe that our mouths will be filled with laughter, our tongues with shouts of joy, and we will say among the nations that Yahweh has done great things for us.